trade-off, where there isn't a right or wrong answer. The right answer really depends on what is the company trying to do, what can make the company win, and most importantly, what is mission aligned with the company. So I'll give you a practical example here. So at Facebook, the company's mission statement is to give people the power to share and make the world more open and connected. And fundamental in this mission statement is the understanding that if we could have a delightful, beautiful, easy, performance, reliable product, but if you were the only one on Facebook, it actually wouldn't matter. The only thing that matters for Facebook is to get everyone in the world on Facebook. And obviously, we need to provide functionality to make that happen, but fundamentally, it's all about connecting the entire world. So when you think about that, and then you kind of have a value that move fast and break things, as a software engineer, it's kind of crazy. Because most engineering practices actually have a pretty standard development process. You spec, you build, you test, you release. At Facebook, that was just one process, which is you write code and you get it out. You push code 5 times a day.
Wow.
You find bugs by looking at the error log and you find them live.
Wow.
And then you go and you change the code to fix it, right? And I think that what you learned was that users were pretty forgiving. Because they understood that you were making that trade-off. And once you are actually able to articulate this, it has a ton of downstream effects. As an example, our goal at Facebook was to, people would start on a Monday, and by Tuesday afternoon, our goal was to get them to submit a patch in our code base that would go live to the entire Facebook live user base. By contrast, my first job was at Oracle, and it took me about 2 months to get my first patch. And I think this was just like a reinforcement that moving fast, at the cost of potentially breaking things, because I might not have known a lot in my first 24 hours, was okay. I'll contrast that with Dropbox. The best way I'd say it is, if once out of every 10,000 times, you try to use Dropbox, the icon on the top of the computer, and it didn't work, you think your computer was broken. You'll go get a new computer because you think that my files aren't working, my file system isn't working. And it's really interesting, because our mission statement at Dropbox is be the home for your most important information and to bring it to life. You don't want your most important information ever lost, ever inaccessible, or ever have a security leak, right? So what we've said is that we're going to spread the details. It's a trade-off. We move slower. That doesn't mean we move slow, but we certainly move slower than we did at Facebook, because we understand that in the space that we're in, we always 100% have to provide a performance, reliable, product. And it's interesting because the last 10% in software engineering often takes 50% in terms of time to get right. Let's move on. All right, sorry, one more slide. If you get your values right, and I think this is really hard, because you have to think really, really hard about what values are good for your product and for your company. Not just the standard stuff, but what is the one thing that if you have to tell your employees in terms of the trade-off, would you articulate? And it's a hard thing to get right, because nobody wants trade-offs. Everybody wants everything. High-quality products while moving really fast, right? But you have to think really hard about it. But if you get it right, you can use it everywhere in your company. You can use it to evaluate candidates while hiring. You can use it to set up your career tracks. And you can use it to give feedback to your employees on a regular basis. Let's talk about recruiting. So the two things that every company in Silicon Valley, without fail, feels about recruiting. Number one, we're not growing fast enough. Right? Constantly are behind the hiring targets. And number two, there's a huge fear of, are we lowering the bar? Are we hiring people who kind of meet our essentially excellence bar, right? And the reason why this is because people haven't taken a hard look about how they're evaluating candidates. Every company grows the same way. You have the founders as the kernel, and the initial nucleus is basically people that they knew, whether they went to school with, whether they worked with in the past, whether they had open source projects. And the reason for this is pretty simple. They know what good looks like. They don't have to spend a ton of time evaluating. They've worked with these people, and it's really easy for them to translate this is what this is the set of people that I know, and they can work in my company. And what ends up happening is that gets up and being institutionalized as that's the only thing that is the only thing that is what good looks like. And most companies don't have to take a step back and think about, if we had to hire 3x as many engineers over the next 6 months as we did in the last 6 months, how are we going to actually change our evaluation criteria? So this is a really difficult conversation to have about maybe we're doing it all wrong. Maybe the way we're evaluating actually, how do you organize them, plan, to get shit done? So it's interesting because people wring their hands about this all the time. And like there must be some super fancy process at Google or Facebook in terms of like OKRs, planning, KPIs, and all of that. What we don't understand is when you're less than 100 people, you don't need any process. Because the whole point of process is to do communication, to get alignment, and to make sure that everybody's on the same page. When everybody's sitting in the same room, that stuff comes for free, right? Like everybody kind of knows what's going on, everybody knows each other, and all of those things come for free. And as you evolve, most companies will come up with a fancy system of doing 6-month planning, quarterly planning, come up with like metrics that they want to hit at the end of the year. All of that makes sense. It's all good, but I think what most people don't realize is it's really difficult to get the right process for your size of company. You can take what's worked at IBM at their size and put it in your company. What you won't understand is that your company will move slowly. Their process is tuned for their size. So one of the questions I'm constantly asking myself is our process the right size? And I'm willing to change it every 3 or 6 months. But what that also means as a byproduct is stuff always feels a little bit broken. Because I put something in place, something shoots past that size, and now things feel a little bit broken. That's okay. I'm not in the quest to design a perfect process. I'm in the quest to design like over some time period, the maximal time that the process is actually like good for. And I just feel everyone in the company to know that things will look different. Be comfortable with chaos. It's a hard message to get right. I think it's the only message that works when you're growing that rapidly. This is maybe the most emotionally sensitive one for people, for all of us who work in hyper-growth companies, because we hire really ambitious, driven, intelligent people who are used to winning. They have done, like, they're basically won at everything they've done in life, right? And when you have a hyper-growth company, what ends up happening is that every 6 or 9 months, your role requirements change. It is much, much harder to manage a team of 50 people than it is to manage a team of 10 people. And that transition might happen over 6 or 9 months. And people often take that really emotionally when you have to go tell them that, no, you're awesome. You're doing really, really well, but this role's grown too large, the company's growing faster than you're able to learn. And it's a hard one because in some sense it feels like failure, but what we talk about at Facebook and Dropbox is this is success. You built something that was valuable enough that we had to actually find somebody to help